So kuna watu husema deni ni msiba wa kujitakia, but it's not always that way. Some debt is good debt. If you use debt for business leverage, that is good debt. Natumia pesa ya watu kufanya biashara, meaning that the income you generate from that debt helps you to pay that debt plus helps you to cover the interest. Lakini a lot of us have gotten into consumption debt. This is what happens. This shop belonged to a friend, but since then it has been closed. She had a thriving shop that was dealing with different kind of commodities. Then one day, to replenish her stock, she took out a mobile loan. And the next thing that happened is that before she could be able to even buy the stock and replenish her shop, she had another emergency. So she had to take 2 more mobile loans. Eventually, the emergency passed and she was unable to buy the stock. But the mobile app loan was due for repayment. So what did she do? She defaulted on the first repayment. Because her business was her livelihood, she needed to borrow more money. So she went to her circle, she took out another loan. She went to her chama, she took out another loan. And before she knew it, she had so many loans that had accumulated. But her business was deteriorating every day. So what happened later was days of uneasiness, because every time she saw a phone call, she thought it was a creditor calling. Every time she called a friend, the friend thought that she was calling to borrow her money. So she was in distress. She was in a lot of pain. And the mobile apps, they used to call the people in her contact list, post her as a defaulter in the WhatsApp groups that she was in. And it was a very, very shameful thing for her and for the circles that she knew. So eventually she stopped attending church. She stopped attending groups where she had common friends. She even stopped going to the shop because every time she went there, creditors could find her. And it wasn't until a lorry of auctioneers came outside her shop that she realized that she was in it too much and she needed a way out. So she looked for help. She looked for people who could help psychologically, talk about debt, help her move out of debt. It took her 6 years to clear all the debts she had and to restart her life. Here, I will give you the 10 steps that she used to be able to overcome that. So if you're in debt, don't worry. Come, learn with me what we can do together. Like just the story I've told you. If you're saving in a certain bank, they will give you an SMS or they'll call you and wanakuambia, hey, you can qualify for these and these amounts. Si ukuje uchukue. So without thinking, without having a project, you will simply apply for the loan, squeeze one meter unsecured, na unajibamba nayo, not knowing that you're slowly digging yourself into a pit of debt. Yenye kujitoa ni shida. But I got you. Here I want us to discuss ukiwa kwa hiyo shida. Already ushaingia. Ama screen utaingia. No one knows what will happen in future. Because emergencies are the ones that make people take a lot of debt. Ambition is another reason. Unapata, you have this big idea that you want to do this kind of business, and since you are salaried and you have a good bank statement, you can get a good loan. So you go ahead and take the loan, but biashara tunajua vile zinakuanga. So you are in debt, deep debt, millions of shillings. Totoka aje. But this is not for those people with millions of shillings in debt only. Hata wewe, maybe your levels of income ni hapo 10,000, lakini uko na deni ya ngiriso 100,000 shillings. Utajitoa aje. So I'll give you 10 steps. Not necessarily are the ones that you should follow or should be followed in that order, but I've done my research. I've talked to people who have been in debt. I've listened to other financial educators talking about these things na nimeona zinapelekana. So if you follow these steps, ama kama uko na deni, madeni that is, you can join our Telegram group in Ufalme Wetu for what we call accountability partnership. Na tuone if we can follow these steps together, natoke kwa madeni. So the first one is know all your debts. Do you know there are people who remember a debt wakati mwenye alimpatia ama mkopesha pesa na mpigia simu. Ndio nakumbuka ni ile deni. And you end up maybe hanging the call, ama una reply, niko meeting, nitakucall baadaye. Maybe even the person just wanted to say hi. But anyway, know all your debts. And this will be done by having a list. Zote za apps, zote za banks, deni zote za circles. A lot of us are in chamas. Know all your debts. Dijue zote. Jua hii deni ni how much. That is what we call the principal. Hii deni iko na retainer gani? Hii deni ni ya muda gani? The period of the debt. Ukishajua hivyo, this is what I'd call, in other words, you've identified your enemies. Ukishajua hivyo, then by cost I mean interest. Interest in a card. Because hapa nikiongeza Shylock, then you understand what this means. Shylocks ni wale watu they'll give you a debt kidogo 10,000 kombina za 1k every day. So you're thinking you'll be able to pay it in 2 days, utalipa na 2k. But within 1 week bado hujalipa, interest inaongezeka. So cost versus amount. Ujue ni gani ziko expensive na ni gani ziko cheap. Because most of the times the chamas na circles interest rates ni kama 1%, 1.5% per month. But the Shylock, the apps, especially apps squeezy, ni kama Shylock, they go very high. Remember, this again, as much as we are calling them our enemies, they are necessary evils. Mtoto wako atafukuzwa shule useme mimi sichukuangi deni. This, some people call it they call it the snowball versus an avalanche. No, huku kwetu hakunanga snow na hizi vitu zinaweza kuwa Greek tukizisikia, but let me just relate it to you. Snowball ni kitu, like starts small, as it rolls, it gathers more snow, inakuja kuwa ball kubwa. As it moves on, it becomes bigger, etc. An avalanche, on the other hand, sijui kama ushaona hizo videos za Geographic Channel mahali ice have full block inang'oka na inaanza kuteremka. So this is a very dangerous thing. So in this case we look at it as the amount, ni kitu kubwa. Snowball ni kitu ndogo. So how do you start? Do you first of all pay the small ones first? Kama uko na deni ya mtu, maybe hata umewa list. Akina Kamau na Achieng, uko na deni ya Kamau ya 2k, Achieng ya 1k, ya bank ya 1m. Sikosane na Kamau na Achieng for 2k na 1k. Those are small debts. Silipe. Hata kama ziko na cost ya juu, kama Kamau ni alikwambia umrudishie na 5 juu, just pay it off. Then start thinking about the costs, the interest wise. Then start thinking about the amounts, the big ones. That apps, if you do your research, you'll find that this interest sometimes is compounded on a daily basis, just like the Shylocks. So those are some of the debts that you're supposed to analyze and try as much as possible to get rid of them first. But kitu ya tatu enye haufai kuogopa kufanya ni kunegotiate. Meaning you shouldn't see your watu wenye you owe as sworn enemies, mtu mwenye hamfai kuongea na yeye, hata kama ni Achieng na umekana hii 1k yake for 1 year. I've seen people wakicomplain, anasema I kopeshad so and so this amount of money last year on this date, so your day ikifika, anasema I usually have a birthday for my debt, so anaambia deni yake happy birthday, and by that time Achieng and you are not in talking terms, mshakosana kwa sababu ya hiyo deni. So negotiate, call that person, sit down. If it's the banks, the circles, anyone or anywhere you can be able to sit down and negotiate, you're supposed to. Remember, in the Bible, in the Lord's Prayer, there's a part that says, forgive us our debts as we forgive those that owe us. And watu wengi husema ni sins, dhambi, forgive us our sins as we forgive those, but plots zingine zimeandikwa debt na the early translations of the Bible, mpaka kuna parables Yesu wamepatiana, so and so was forgiven a debt, nini. So debt ni kitu ya kitambo, debt ni kitu iko. So kunegotiate, unaweza sema usamehewe, ambia Achieng ama Kamau, okay, the Shylock might not agree, forgive me that debt. If it's a relative, badala ya tukosanange tu kila siku, please nisamehe hii deni. You can also negotiate rates. You can negotiate the period. Like if the Shylock is charging you a K per day, hey, mwambie man, tufikishe hizo rates hapo zimefika, wacha nikutafutie pesa yako, or make it 500 per day, I look for the money in a few weeks, etc. So negotiation is supposed to be part of that. Huyu mtu akiona pia like you're more interested in paying them than running away, because the mind of mwenye amekupatia ni ati umekata. They do not think that maybe you're facing financial challenges, you have kids that need medication or school fees, because they also say hata sisi hizo mashida uko nazo tuko nazo. After that, consolidation simply means having one loan instead of the so many loans. And how does it work? So assuming that you've had all those loans that you've talked about earlier, apps, Chama, Sacco, Kamau, Nani, Bank, microfinance, etc. And you are a member of a certain bank or a certain Sacco that can give you a loan. So what you'll do is, you take one big loan, let's say those so many loans, zikiadiwa up, come to 1.5 million. So you take one big loan of 1.5 million and sort out all those people that you owe. After you sort them out, now you're left with one loan to concentrate with. So this one loan, now it will be easier for you even to negotiate if you're late. It will make it easier for you to concentrate on other things. It will make it easier for you to go back to church if you had coppered members of your church and you're afraid of what they'll say when they look when they see you and think you're refusing with their money. So take one big loan, consolidate, lipa hizo zingine zote. Sometimes it might even be your relative or your parent that comes through with this one loan that will consolidate these small loans. So look for all those options where you can be able to get one big loan, pay off the small ones, and that will be halfway through to getting clean on debt. Then, number 5, this is where now you cut all your expenses. And when I say all, I don't mean that you stop paying rent and you stop paying school fees. So this might mean, 1, downsizing, 2, avoiding unnecessary expenses. No, kama ni mtu wa pizza kila Tuesday ama drinks kila Friday, Those are, I don't think they are really needs or wants that can affect your living. So meaning the point here I'm saying is from that day that you decided to pay off your debt up to when they are completely done, you should live as if you're broke. Hapata church, kutoa sadaka minimum. Friends wakikuomba do za matanga, za harusi, answer ni sina. Watu wakitaka wapeleke out for coffee, sio leo. Watoto wakitaka pizza Tuesday, as much as you love them, remember you're on a mission. Tell them hakuna pesa. And it's also a way of teaching them that, sorry, forgive my language, it happens, and you have to get out of it somehow. So after you live like you're broke, by this time, umejichuna masikio ya kutosha, but let me just remind you that no more debts. Let's use a word that you can relate to, debt detox. I know especially if you're a lady, you're trying to get back to health, back to shape, and you've been taking a lot of junks or a lot of antibiotics, so you try to detoxify your body. So the same way, debt detox, detoxifying your mind. Sasa hata mtu akikuletea deni on a silver platter, na ikata. Remember, you've already found it as a problem, imekukos mashida, so learn to say no to debt. Learn also not to kutamani deni. So this is something that now should be part of your life, that I've deleted all apps that give debt. I have closed, since you can't delete M-Pesa, you've closed your Fuliza account. Watu wenye Shylocks walikuwa wanakuipigia simu, unataka tupesa leo? The answer is no. You are detoxifying. Then, this one might look controversial, but stop or suspend savings. The reason why I'm saying this, yet I'm one of the biggest proponents for savings. Ukiangalia video hizo zingine zote naambia watu save. But sasa hapa kuna shida. Imagine you're saving in a money market fund. Ama unanunua shares now and then. And you find that when you save 10,000, the rate of return, maybe you're saving per month, but the rate of return for 1 year, ni mzuri sana, maybe it's giving you 15%, which is good. Which is good by all standards. Hata ukiambia, it's actually savings is, as much as it's for our future, it's also good for our ego. Ukikumbuka uko na tu savings, ama ukiambia mtu, saizi nimefikisha savings za 120k kwa money market fund, it feels nice. But remember, at the same time, you have a debt of 120k, and this debt is at 22%. Si umalizane na deni, then utasave baadaye. We proponents of saving, or rather spending money, our personal finance management, say that you should spend out of your income 50% on necessities, 30% on needs, 20% on savings. But sasa, nasema this rule, this 20%, stop saving it, concentrate it on repaying your debts. After umemaliza, you'll have the peace and you'll have the money to save. So the reason why I'm saying this is, if it was the other way around, that the debt is cheaper than the savings. Yes, ziko zenye ni cheaper, especially if it's from a circle or from a chapa. Then in that case, you might continue saving, and then the proceeds of interest can be used to pay off the interest on the debt and your remaining something. But in this case, I'm assuming since uko na deni kubwa, and remember the point you've talked about, the snowball and the avalanche effect, meaning that it's very expensive. So lipa deni kwanza, achana na savings. Ukimaliza kulipa, anza kusave. Then since repayment requires discipline, you have to automate repayments. Discipline is doing what you're supposed to do, whether you feel like it or not. Juu saa zingine, you've negotiated your debts. You've seen people, they negotiate the debt, they say, nipatie more time, smaller installments, na sitakosa kulipa. But over time, they get comfortable. They forget how they cried when they went to ask for the debt forgiveness. And what happens? Unaanza kulegea. So, badala ya kutuma the debt on, and this is something I've observed, or having worked in microcredit institution, that the first few months, when someone takes a loan, they're very active. They're very happy because they have that money and they're doing what they want. But siku zikiendelea, anaanza kuzoea, anaanza kuona ni kama make mistakes. So even the repayments start delaying, and that is how defaulting comes in. So automate. Automation means, one, you could have a standing order, or two, you could have post-dated checks. Niko na deni yako, achia sawa. I'll give you a check of, if it is for 10,000, I'll give you, and I'm only able to afford 2,000 every month, I'll give you 5 checks, post-dated from this date up to the month that I want to clear. So every month, I'm sure that a chain will deposit that check, so I'll make sure my account has money. The same way with standing order. I have a debt to pay, and I'll pay it. Then the next point is accountability. So this could be looked at in different forms. One, proper records. Remember, the first point we said is know all your debts. So we meant that you list them. If you're good with Excel, you have an Excel sheet with each debt, each repayment, etc. If you're not, just use a notebook and have all that accounted for. And the second thing is, so these are records, is you have someone you are accountable, or not partnership, but accountability partners. Someone you are accountable to, or someone that you report to. Could be a friend, could be a spouse, could be, I don't know, your pastor. Tell them that I have this debt. I've committed to be paying these amounts at these intervals. So, ikifika hiyo date, nipigie niulize ulilipa ile deni. Kama sijalipa, don't let me give you excuses. Push me until I pay. That is the role of accountability partners. If you are a couple, it's your husband who has the debt, so you've already started living like you're broke, so how party this marupurupu ulikuwa unapata, then you have the moral ground to remind them to pay that debt, or else. Hatutaki or else ikuje. So the last point is motivation. Remember, we started with discipline, but motivation is also important. Motivation is slightly lower than discipline when it comes to doing things, because remember, tulisema discipline is doing what's supposed to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And that's why a lot of people fail with the gym. Juu atalipa gym, ataenda siku mbili, but the third day juu kunanyesha, hajisikii kwenda, discipline inaanza kupotea. And even no matter how many motivation videos you watch or motivation books you read and do not act, then haita work. So this is where motivation closes the gap between your intention and your actions. So inakukumbusha, one, you have a visual discipline. Nunua blackboard kama hii, weka hapo kitchen, andika hizo madeni zenye uko nazo, circle. January amount you've paid 20k. Alafu hapo hivi there's somewhere you record the balance. Sasa if it was 100,000 debt, balance ni 80. So every time you're passing through the kitchen, you're cooking, you're drinking water, hey, unakaona hapo February you've paid another 20. So you come and record, sasa imebaki 60. So you start being motivated, you start looking forward to March, April, and May. So by the time you are in April, balance up ni 20. And by the time you're in May, there's no good feeling as the one that you'll feel ukitoa hii 20 balance yenye ilikuwa imebaki April ukiweka 0. Utasikia kimzigo kimeshuka, utasikia umeachieve. So you've turned your intentions into actions. You have something that is, you're able to visualize every day. And after you've done that, you treat. You've been able to pay this 20,000 by avoiding eating out, by avoiding pizzas, by avoiding going out with your friends, by avoiding showmarks and these paid subscriptions. You've cut all your costs. You've been able to do that for 5 months. You've cleared a loan of 100,000. You treat your siku. Don't do something that will again cost you 100,000. Maybe something that will cost you 2k. Treat yourself. Buy yourself a nice blouse, a nice shoe. Hii kiatu inanikumbusha nilikuwa na deni na nilipa. So in conclusion, the 3 C's that I want you to remember is 1, communicate. When you have debt, communicate with your lenders. That is where negotiation comes in. That is where when you are late and you need some time comes in. Don't make them your enemies. As much as debt is your enemy, don't make the people who have lent you the money your enemies. Then commit. Commitment. That is where discipline comes in. Commit, nitakuwa nikilipa hii amount, this interval, na nafanya hivyo. Unaiandika. And you reward yourself after doing that. And if you start something, you have to complete. Communicate, commit, complete. And that comes to the completion of our video. If you've gained something from this video, please hit the like button. If you've not subscribed yet, hit the subscription button. Remember, doesn't matter how many people watch the video, as long as you've gotten quality and information from it, I'll do it again just for you. So also share with your friends and see you in the next video. This is JEPH KAFKA TV.
Welcome to the unveiling of untold history documentaries, mastering classes in business management, and sparking insights through money dialogues. This is JEPH KAFKA TV, where you discover untold business histories, master the art of management, and ignite money conversations that matter.